Hi guys, and welcome to the first fly tying session with outline fly fishing. So first flies to tie is the Griffiths gnat and the cow dung. Let's take a look at the materials we need here today. Uh, for the Griffiths gnat we need the grizzly dry fly hackle and peacock herl, some flash for the tail, and some black thread. For the cow dung, we need some dry fly hackle. This is brown, and we need, you can use dyed peacock herl, sorry about that, but I don't have that, so I'm just going to use some fly right for the body, and of course flash for the tail. I think I'm just gonna stick with the black thread. So that's the materials, and of course we always need a good cup of coffee. Alright, so let's take a look at how to tie the fly step by step. Just need more coffee. Of course the first step will be grabbing a hook. I use these dry fly hooks from Jensen, either a size 14 or a size 16. For the Griffiths gnat, I usually don't go over the size 16. I find that to work very good. So let's start with that. And the first thing I always do is I pinch this barb because I don't want it. Step 2 is of course laying down a layer of thread so the materials have something to grab onto. So I start my thread with the eye of the hook and touching turns down to where the bend of the hook starts. Alright, step 3. Three. Come on. Excuse my English. We are going to tie in the crystal flash here as a tail. So I took out 3 strands of the crystal flash. I'm going to tie it in at the bend of the hook. Then I'm going to trim it full length of the body. Second thing up is peacock herl. I usually use 2 good strands of peacock herl, and when I say good I mean the really fluffy ones. Tie them in full length of the body. Again, just to not mess up the tapering. And the last part of step 3 is of course the dry fly hackle. Pull out a single feather and try it out. You're looking for feathers that line up like this. Usually I like them as wide as the gap of the hook, but you can make them a little bit longer, tiny bit longer. So I break it off where I want it tied in. Usually people strip off the very end of all the fibers at the end of the feather here, but I'm not gonna do that. And the reason why is because if you tie it in like this, when you start wrapping it up, there's gonna stick a couple of fibers out. They're gonna blend in with the tail of flash and make it look more, I don't know if I can say natural, but it looks better to me, so that's why I do it. So now you have everything tied up here. Step 4. take the 2 strands of peacock herl, leave a little space behind the eye of the hook, just leave a good millimeter or 2. So next thing up is winding the hackle around the shank, and I usually grab a pair of hackle pliers because my fingers are too chubby to do these small parts. And when I do like this now, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a couple of fibers sticking up in the back here. They're mixing in with the flesh to make a better looking tail for the fly. You want to stop the same place as you did with the peacock herl. Then I'm gonna take a whip finish, tighten, snip up this. So take a pair of scissors and trim your tail a little further back than the fibers sticking out from the hackle. It's just to make a tail. Pull everything back slowly, and then there will be some fibers, if you trapped any, they will be popping out as you go backwards. Now you found them, you snip them up. Just rough the fly up a little bit. So that's the step-by-step tying, and now we're going to take a look at the fly. As you see in the back here with the flash, there's some fibers blending in. I now see that I used a hackle that's, if you look at this fiber sticking out in the back here, it's too far down. I usually like to make the hackle, to use a hackle that's roughly the same size as the gap of the hook. This was a little bigger, but I don't think that has any bad effect on the fly. So that's the Griffiths gnat with flashy tail. Step 1, grab the hook. Same hook as last time, just size 14. Now I like to squeeze the barb down like that. Stick it in the vise. Sounds good. I'm not gonna change up my thread. I'm gonna use the black one. So we're gonna have to lay a layer of thread on the hook so the materials have something to grab onto. So start by tying in the thread right behind the eye of the hook, touching turns all the way down to where the bend of the hook starts. Yes, step 2 is of course a little bit different this time. Since I'm all out of coffee, I'm gonna have to pour myself a new cup. You should do that as well. And god damn it, that's good. So second thing we're gonna do in step 2 is we are going to start with the flash. 3 strains. All we're gonna need. Tie them in. Full length of the body. Second thing up is, of course, picking a hackle to use. And find the one closest to the gap. As I said, you want to make sure the feathers are sticking down as much as the gap or a little bit more. And I tie this in without pulling any of the fibers in the end back here off, because it makes a tail. So now we got the hackle and the flash tied on here. Over to step 3. Step 3 is of course making the body of the fly. I'm using Flyright as my dubbing. That's only because I have this map here filled up with different colors, and I like working with the Flyright. So take a nice clump of dubbing, add it to the thread. Don't spin it too hard onto the thread, because you want to lay the dubbing on this fly quite loosely. So now we made the body of the fly with the Flyright, so it's not too tight on there. And the reason why I do that is because I want the hackle to, as I wind it forward here, I want it to kind of sink into the body. And secondly, it's because for every fish you catch, the teeth on the fish will kind of brush your dubbing and make the fly look even better as you catch fish. Step 4, take some coffee. Now stroke everything back, because now you're gonna make a head and you don't want to trap too many fibers, and the ones you have trapped will be pointing forward when you're doing it like this. Step 5, of course, whip finish. Clean up the fly in front, any trapped hackle fibers, just snip them off. This fly looks pretty good. Second thing is trim the tail about half a body length. Rough it up. You're done. Let's take a look at the fly, the cow dung. You see the flashy tail, but there's a couple of fibers in there. Looks awesome. This time I think I nailed the fiber length, because it's barely over the gap here. Looks good. Now we can test this fly in a bowl of water.